Here we go into game 24. Up against Warlock. In the mulligan as if it's discard Warlock. That's the most aggressive variation of Warlock. And we want to have the cards that matter against that matchup in our opening hand the most.
Side effects? No.
Mistress of Mixture, so it's not discard Warlock. Could be Cube Lock, could be Mechathune Lock. Not gonna Spellstone it. It's not a big target. We're not gonna coin into any twos. Save the coin. It's gonna be a slow matchup. There'll be a turn where we want to use the coin. We want to cycle with the Rising Winds to look for the key cards in this matchup. Expired Merchant, discarding Gul'dan, it's Cube Lock. So now this is very interesting. They don't immediately kill off their Expired Merchant, so I want to draw to Zephyrus or Spellbreaker. We get the Zephyrus. Now here I think long and hard about trying to coin out Zephyrus to get Silence. However, in a game just not too long ago, we were in a similar spot where I really needed a silence with Zephyrus on 0 mana, and he didn't give me the silence. I'm thinking he's actually more likely to give us Backstab here and possibly some 4-drops. So I think I want to see if I can manipulate the board a little better so he doesn't give us Backstab and instead gives us silence. If we can silence that Expired Merchant, there goes their Gul'dan in this matchup. So great, they're not killing it off again. They're not putting anything else on the board. I think if we remove the Mistress of Mixtures, and then we want to make sure we have exactly 0 mana when we play Zephyrus, I think if all those conditions are met, he will give us the silence. So a Hero Power coin Zephyrus.
Your wish is my suggestion.
And he gives us the silence.
This'll be good.
Now, I was kind of hoping that they would concede here. Once they realize they're up against a Reno deck. But our opponent is playing well. He plays the Skull. He knows he can still win if he can just put enough pressure on us. Perhaps he has Enzoth. And Skull on 5 can just win games. I want to draw with the Crystal Merchant to make sure we don't get outgassed this game by too many big demons on the board. And I put down the Druid of the Swarm as the poison form. I'm not scared of a board wipe because he's putting his own minions out there, so it's going to be harder for him to do that. He can't Dark Skies us, for example. He's probably not going to be Plaguing of Flames. It looks like this 1/2 is going to get value. Sure enough, all they're going to do is make extra Void Lords. Trade in, kill one of the Void Lords, kill off some of the Void Walkers. And just play the Cricket. I'm waiting to play Fendril when we want to Wrath or perhaps turn 9 Oasis Surger. our opponent is playing aggressively, which is exactly what they need to do when they don't have Ghoul Dawn anymore. So I don't want to poison seeds yet. This board is pretty big, but they might have Enzoth, and they might do cube stuff, and it's just not time. So it is time to do Fendrel. We got the 4 damage from the Wrath with the 3 from Zephyrus to kill off one of the Dreadlords. And we decide to not Living Roots so we can draw with the Merchant, and the Living Roots just 2 damage doesn't do much. They pull Mal'Ganis. Now this is scary. If they can duplicate Mal'Ganis, whether it be Cube or Faceless Manipulator, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Kills off those 2 valuable minions. Which is a bit interesting, because I don't think there's any synergies with even Fendrel that would really contest this board. We do have the Mulch and the Poison Seeds. The Mulch to help get rid of the Death Rattle 5/5 that comes out of Dreadlord. And so if our opponent had just gone face with those other 2 minions, I think it would have been 12 more damage.
Appreciate your effort.
And then with the damage this turn, he could have put up a lot more pressure. Here they Plague of Flame their boards so they can lay out some bigger threats. They're probably also fearing Spreading Plague. So I'm a little confused that they play the Dreadlord when it should just come out with their Skull of Gul'dan. But that just probably means they have even more demons in their hand. So we want to make the Poison Spiders here. They're great at contesting big demons. It's a good time to play Malfurion. There's not too much pressure. And I think we just want to armor up here.
There is a method to my madness.
Now we see he has Doom Guards. And we see he has a very real chance of winning even without Gul'dan. He still has a cube left, and I believe he still has a Faceless Manipulator. Yes.
Masterful.
He casts the Dark Skies in the hopes to finish off our Poisonous Spiders, but 1 lives, so we can use that to kill the first half of the Dreadlord. Our hand is not looking too impactful. We got this Surger, which we can use to clear off the 5/5. I'm thinking we just don't want to pop that cube for as long as we can. So we could either Sludge Belcher or Tar Creeper. They're kind of the same minion, but I decided to go with the Tar Creeper in Hero Power. If we were to Sludge Belcher, I was scared that he'd bump the Sludge Belcher with his cube and then Defile, and then that would finish off his cube, and he'd have 2 Doom Guards with charge, and we'd be at 10. This way, it's much harder for him to do a Defile play that kills off his cube, and we have 3 extra armor in case he does kill his cube. Yeah, as we can see here, I think the Defile would have, with the ooze that gets spawned by the Sludge Belcher, he would have been able to clear off his cube. So this is pretty tough. I Dirty Rat, and
Trust
get
me.
some nice healing. We want to take advantage of that with the Keeper's Teladris. Now we also have a 2/6 taunt. I dirty ratted there because I know he's pretty much out of demons. It could have backfired if he'd gotten Doom Guard off of that dirty rat. We are quite certain he will be in the cube popped this turn. Sure enough, there's the Doom Guards. And he does have ends off, which is huge. Adds so many stats to the board. We don't have Zephyrus. We don't have our board wipe. Blanking on the name. Poison Seeds. We don't have Poison Seeds. We don't have Zephyrus. We had to play them both pretty early on. We didn't have time to duplicate either with Elise or Zola or Fluke. I'm thinking this hand is not doing much. Let's see what we can draw without quite a pain. Branching Paths will buy us some time. And here I'm thinking 6 armor is probably enough to survive. I really just need to dig into draw exactly ends off. Really, that's the only way we can ever really take back this board. This is actually a pretty precarious situation. I think if he had Defile, he had lethal. Whereas if we had gotten the extra 6 armor from our Branching Paths, he would not have had lethal from Defile. Definitely, if he had Defile, he would have had lethal. We go all the way down to 1. We're gonna need Reno. Or ends off. And get ends off, which is pretty good draw. See if there's anything else we can get from our Alkaloid. That Spellbreaker could come in handy later, taking out a 5/5 from one of the Dreadlords. I trade off my Steladris thinking I need more board space. I hadn't realized how few Death Rattles had died that game. Probably could have let the Steladris stay on the board and use it more wisely with our trades. Once again, I'm pretty sure there is a Defile play here where our opponent could push for lethal.
Our tombs.
Almost out of time.
I think if he had traded into the Partoot Defender that was left there at the end, instead of into the second half of the first one, he would have had lethal with the Defile. But that was a pretty tough Defile play. Defile's Tough card to play. We draw Reno off the back of the Ferocious Howl, which allows us to get out of lethal range. And he's a lot of 5/1s, which makes this roots very good. Decide we're playing for board at this point. If we can ever get him off the board at this point, we win. So I don't trade the Enzoth into either of the Dreadlords. Also, it doesn't take off any power at this point in time by trading into the Dreadlords because they leave behind the 5/5 body. So our opponent here if I were them, I would probably just go face. You don't really have any good trades to protect any minions. And the longer this game goes on, the more favored we are and the less favored they are. But they decide to trade.
I am only more deadly. Almost out of time.
They've got the second cube on their Doomguard. But we should be fine with Spellbreaker. I say should be, but I make a huge error here. For some reason, I'm thinking Spellbreaker is 3 mana, Zola is 4, and that 4 plus 3 plus 3 is 10, so I can play Spellbreaker, Zola, and Spellbreaker on the same turn. It's only after I Spellbreaker that I realize I can only Spellbreaker once. So, okay, I played that turn pretty fast, but I silenced their Dreadlord to stop the 5/1, thinking I would have a silence left over for the cube. The mana doesn't work out that way. I don't have mana enough to silence the cube, and so now he's able to pop it. If I had silenced the cube instead, this game probably would have went very differently. They have the Plague of Flames, they pop the cube. Out come the Doom Guards, we go down to 12. Play another 5/5. All because we miscalculated on the Spellbreaker. And I suppose we should have silenced the cube first, even if we were miscalculating and thinking we had both. But this hand is not going to do it. We can armor up to 15, but they have exactly 15 on board. So, very interesting game, even though we're able to get the silence on the opponent's
There is a method to my madness.
expired merchant that has their only Gul'dan underneath it. The opponent still is able to win, just with demon pressure from the skull. Good game.